As much as I always thought that Jen and I tried to teach Peyton, he taught us so much more. You know, how to be just a really good person. He would spend the first part of his after-school time, he would get all his homework done, and then he would go and he would tutor and help the other kids that were younger than him. You know, all his teachers would tell us about this stuff and we'd be like, what? He was such a great student. He knew the names of every single special needs kid at his school. He was a parent's dream. So athletic and such a leader. And, you know, it didn't matter if, you know, he could be the best athlete on a team. He was constantly trying to get somebody else to score. So Peyton was diagnosed with something called benign Rolandic epilepsy. And it is, if you're gonna have epilepsy, it's the one to have. You get it when you're a kid and you grow out of it by the time you're a teenager. So we watched him closely. I remember Peyton saying, oh, I forgot to tell Mama that I love her and I forgot to give her a kiss. And he runs out in the living room, gives Jen a kiss, comes back in, and we read a little bit more, and I put him to bed, and Peyton's last words to me were, I love you, Daddy. And I said, I love you too, baby. Because even at 9, I still called him baby. You know, I walked out of the room and I said to Jen, we are so lucky. He is the best kid. I went into his bedroom to check on him, and I could tell by the way he was positioned that something was wrong. And so at some point in the night, he had had a seizure. They transferred him to Medical University, but Peyton was, he was pronounced brain dead, and we had to make that decision to take him off life support. And I tell you, no parent should have to ever do that. It's the worst thing I've ever had to decide my entire life. But Peyton was gone. You know, our boy, you know, his soul, his spirit was somewhere else already. We could have just, and what we wanted to do was just hide in our house and never come out. Hide in a dark place and never be around. And the running community, they didn't let us. Days after his funeral, this group of over 300 people from our community just showed up and ran a 5K with us. That was so strong and amazingly helpful for Jennifer and I. That's what the running community did. I mean, they just were there, and they just held on to us. And it's the same thing with Peyton's race. They just keep coming and supporting us. When we came up with the race, Peyton's Wild and Wacky Ultra, it just popped out, and we knew it was right because Peyton was wild and wacky. We knew we had to do something that was for our ultra runner friends and then for our short distance friends and their kids. So we did this format where it was a 10 by 5K, which is a 5K every hour for 10 hours. And in the middle of it, we throw in a 5K just for normal people. The first year we raised $6,000. Second year we raised $12,000. And this year, we haven't done all of our final figures, but we know it's going to be more. When I first started, running was about losing weight and staying in shape. It became something so much more. I always talk about running, and it can be an adventure just by walking out your front door. And for me, running's been that. I've gotten to do so many incredible things. I mean, I've run through the streets of New York. I've run through Boston, and I've run from one end of the Grand Canyon to the next. And those are things that are just incredible to me. But I've gotten to run with my boys. I've gotten to spend 24 hours running with my wife. Those are just the best things ever. When I'm running an ultra, I get to this point that I feel more in tune with my body and my surroundings than you could ever imagine. And it's my meditation. I started this, beginner group of runners. These are people from teenagers all the way to people in their 70s, men and women, and they have run 5Ks, they've run 10Ks, some of them have run marathons, some of them have run ultra marathons now. And these people all started from walking 30 seconds at a time. They're just amazing, amazing runners that decided they wanted to do this, and they just did it. And they believed in themselves, and they trusted me enough to kind of lead them on these crazy adventures. I would never imagine that people would look at me as a runner to begin with. So for somebody to recognize me and the power of running is really special. And I'm thankful for Mizuno and Fleet Feet supporting us, supporting our race. Remembering Peyton and the ways that they have done is important to us, and we're really thankful for that. It's a pretty amazing tribute to our son that they would name this track and field after him. The rock is Peyton's rock, and Peyton was our rock. He was our strength, and he was for a lot of his friends. And a lot of his friends still come to the rock and they'll touch it before they go play a game. Peyton, he never made it to his 10th birthday, but he did so many things in that short amount of time. Things that most people would never dream of doing or accomplishing. And I'll always be proud of him.